Hello, this is Harlan. Now I want you to get one truth today, just one simple, plain truth. Look at this big old Seventh-day Adventist church. Now why would they build that? Why would they build it? Look at this big Anglican church. Now get this one point of view. The Most High dwells not in temples made with hands. Now what are they doing here? He said, heaven is my throne, earth is my footstool. What house will you build me? Now look at the apostolics. A bunch of people shouting around, come off of Azusa Street. Why would they build a big house like that? Get this one point of view. God made the world and all things therein. He dwells not in temples made with hands. He is not worshipped with men's hands. Now what are you seeing here? In Arizona, they build this temple up in some rocks. Are they building this for the lust of the flesh? Are they building this for their idol, the Bible? Get this point of view. Look at this Assembly of God. They come off of Azusa Street because one person got the Holy Ghost, and they built millions and millions of dollars worth of buildings. Now, when John saw this, look at these things. This is in Boston, up there where Barney Frank is. So, get this. John wondered with great admiration, and he marveled at all these big buildings this old whore had built. And now look at this, the brethren. So think this one thought today. Just get one truth out of this. Get one truth out of it. This is phony. This is for the lust of man. This is building it for an idol. Now look at the Catholic Church. Oh, Lord. See, these pedophile priests don't get married, so the church has plenty of money. Now think about this. If you don't get but one thing out of this, get this. God does not dwell in temples made with hands. So why does the Catholic Church build these big fancy temples? God don't dwell in temples made by hand. Earth is my footstool. What house will you build me? Heaven is my throne. Now look at this. Christian Science. That's Mary Baker Eddy. You know, you just think you're sick. You're not sick. And you just think you're dead. You're not dead. That's Christian Science. Why do they build all these big old fancy churches? The Church of Christ. Where the Bible speaks, we speak. And where the Bible remains silent, we remain silent. Why do they build a big church like that? Because they do not have the Holy Ghost. They're not the temple of God. Our body is the temple of God. Get this one truth in your head today. Now here's the Church of God. They come off of Azusa Street, just like all you Pentecostals. Now they build a big old church up there. And it tells them plainly in their Bible, God does not dwell in temples made by hand. But they still build them anyway. Here's Scientology. Now this is old Hubbard. He hypnotizes people. He hypnotized old John Travolta and Tom Cruise, and he can make them be whatever they want them to be. That's the way they do it. Here's a congregation. So pick you out of church there, you Bible worshipers. Don't go to some of those little old bitty poor ones. Get you a big rich one. Hey, this is for the lust of the flesh. They build this for their idol. This is the temple of the idol. Now here's the Crystal Cathedral. You know what happened to old Schuller? He went bankrupt. Prosperity. And he sold it to the Catholics. The Catholics owns that thing now. How about that? So you see, now this is your beer drinking Episcopalians. They come out of the old country. Some of these is from Europe. They come out of Europe. You know, they're beer drinking Episcopalians. They're about like Catholic. So, and here's one in Zimbabwe. You got churches all over the world. They build them millions and billions of dollars worth of churches. And it says God does not dwell in temples made with hand. You getting that? Get that in your head. God does not dwell in temples made with hand. He made the world. Heaven is his throne and earth is his footstool. Now here's your Jehovah's Witnesses, you know. Kingdom Hall type place. Can't get nothing there. They're the dumbest bunch I ever seen. Now here's Lakewood. Say Joel Osteen. Look at the people he's got. I went to Lakewood's church many, many years ago when John was there, and that was in Houston. But Joel bought the basketball court. The Houston Rockets played in a basketball place over there, and he bought that. So that is all flesh. Now here's old Falwell. Jerry Falwell built this up there in Virginia on Thomas Road. It's called the Thomas Road Baptist Church. So these men built. Now this is Lutheran, and Luther come out of the old country. Martin Luther. The Lutherans, they're just as dead as Hogan's goat. I mean, they ain't got nothing. But they build these big old temples to the idol. This is the temple to the idol. Now these are the people that guards the temple. You see, God had a temple on earth, but he tore it down. He no longer dwells in temples made with hands. And John marveled at all this. Don't you marvel seeing all these fancy churches? Now here's a mega church. Look at that thing. These are like old Ted Haggard would have, you know. This is, they think it's more important than anything to have a big old building. Well, the church is living God that lives in us. They spend all this money instead of giving poor people something to eat. Here's the Methodists. That was John and Charles Wesley. They was Methodist people, and they built all these big old churches. Shows they don't have God. They don't have God. And this is in Italy, I think, this big old church is. So you have a church that's built all over the world. Huge, huge, awesome. Look at this thing, the Mormons. That's Joseph Smith with his angel. What happened to y'all's angel? You lost your angel? Brigham Young had 50 wives. So they need a big building for all his wives. So this is another Bartholomew's church. It's Catholic probably. They got all kinds of big old buildings, and God does not dwell in temples made by hand. Now get that. Get this in your mind. He don't dwell in temples made by hand. Look here. This is Oral Roberts' territory. Oklahoma, see. He said prosper. You're going to prosper. Building big old buildings, millions and billions of dollars. And God made the whole world and the things that are in. He dwells not in temples made with hands. He is not worshipped with men's hands. Here's the Presbyterian. That means the elders. Presbytery. These are the elders. They come out of the old country too. The Presbyterian. Now here's a bunch of hypocrites. This is the Quakers. They used to be Christians. Back in 1650, a lot of them died for the faith, but they all backslid now. They took the Bible as the mark of the beast, and they had to build them an idol temple up there in Portland, Oregon. So they're a bunch of thugs now. Now here's in Russia. You think Russia don't have the Bible? We filled it up with Bibles. This is the Russian Orthodox Church. So they have churches all over Russia like they do everywhere else. Like in Mexico, they have most Catholic churches and all. It's St. Joseph. That's Catholic type stuff. They have hospitals and things for people. The Catholic Church is huge. They've got billions and trillions of dollars in artifacts and all because they was in it so long before. They're the mother of harlots. That's what John's saying. They're the mother, and the Protestants are their babies. They come out of them. So get this. God does not dwell in temples made with hands. So why did they build Peter's Basilica? Why? To show that they worship their idol. To show the lust of the flesh. Get this. If you never get but one point of view off this, get that God does not dwell in temples made with hands. So who dwells in these temples? This shows how great they are. This shows how wonderful they are. This is the great Catholic Church. We know everything and know all things. Now here's one they built the tallest church. This is the tall church. They had to have one bigger than everybody else. Wonder why they had to have one bigger than everybody else. See, this is a vanity. A vanity is God. We are the temple of God. Get this, children. If you don't get but one point of view out of this, why does a Unitarian, they don't have nothing. Why do they build a big old building? It shows there's something. It shows that they're in a great idol. They have a great idol, a great idolatry. So now watch this. This is the United Pentecostal. They think Jesus is God. They go around saying, Jesus is God. You know, he ain't the Son of God. He said, Eloi, Eloi, why have you forsaken me? But he was God, so he forsook himself. Now here you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. You say this is the temple of God. Never say that again. That's a devil's temple. That's the temple of the idol. The Bible is the mark of the beast, and they build temples to it.